Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, a whistleblower arrested after being accused of leaking the Pentagon's highly classified military documents. We've got details. Plus, a rabbi moved quickly to help his community when Russia's war on Ukraine began.
We started a refugee camp in Berlin with all of our orphans. We rented from there 170 rooms in the hotel. We opened a preschool, school, and a university there.
We'll have more on this story coming up. Then later, we have a first look at Sound of Freedom, an upcoming film based on a true story where a government agent quits his job to concentrate on rescuing children from sex trafficking.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. This is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
All these stories and more, they're coming up next from the CBN Newsroom.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We're going to begin this half hour with a whistleblower wanted for leaking the Pentagon's highly classified military documents, a 21-year-old IT specialist who's now behind bars. The Department of Justice announced his arrest after the whistleblower punched damaging holes in our national security. And now concerns regarding the Pentagon safeguards and even our relations with foreign allies have come into question. CBN's Brody Carter has more now in our top story.
With guns drawn, a tactical SWAT team with military gear surprised the village of North Dayton, Massachusetts, surrounding the 21-year-old suspect, Jack Teixeira, at his parents' home. Teixeira was ordered to walk backwards with his hands on his head towards an armored vehicle before being taken into custody.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information.
The young suspect allegedly responsible for putting America's security at risk was a low-ranking enlisted airman. His record says he served at Otis Air National Guard Base in Massachusetts and worked as a cyber transport systems journeyman or an IT specialist. It's been less than a week since the far-reaching leak sent the Pentagon and FBI into damage control. An estimated hundreds of spilled documents revealed the U.S. spying on adversaries and allies alike, and the disclosure of sensitive military intelligence about the war in Ukraine.
All indications are, again, this is a criminal act, a willful violation of those, and again, another reason why we're continuing to investigate and support DOJ's investigation.
The classified leak originated in the online discussion and gaming forum called Discord. One participant told the Associated Press that Teixeira was an observant Christian who spoke of God and prayed with members of the group. And before Teixeira's arrest, the Washington Post talked to one of those teens who was a member of that chat room. He described the leaker as a charismatic, gun-loving gamer. He apparently shared the intel to impress the people in the small group.
It felt like I was on top of Mount Everest. It felt like I was above everyone else to some degree, and that I would be able to brag to some people that I knew stuff that they didn't.
And he explained how the information got progressively more revealing.
The documents were often listed as Ukraine versus Russia at first. However, it slowly spiraled into just intelligence about everything.
Even though the documents have reportedly been online for some time, U.S. intelligence apparently didn't know about them until they were reported by the media. President Biden downplayed the leak during his visit to Ireland.
I'm concerned that it happened, but there's nothing contemporaneous that I'm aware of that is of great consequence.
But the view in Washington is clearly different, that the high-profile intelligence leaks are a very big deal and very bad for the U.S. As for Teixeira, he's expected to make his first court appearance today in Boston, facing felony charges under the Espionage Act. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Cleanup has begun in South Florida after historic flooding hit that area. Crews are draining streets as the storm sent several feet of rain within hours. Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport was closed as a result of widespread flooding, with the National Weather Service saying up to 25 inches of rain fell near the airport. Flooding also turning thoroughfares into rivers. The rain started Monday with the heaviest downpours on Wednesday. New data reveals an uptick in attacks against America's churches compared to recent years. In the first 3 months of 2023, the Family Research Council points to 69 recorded acts of hostility, the most since FRC began tracking this data some 6 years ago. They include 53 incidents of vandalism, 10 arson attempts, and 3 gun-related incidents. The attacks stretch across 29 states, with North Carolina experiencing the most, 6 incidents. New U.S. jobless claims are at the highest level in more than a year. The most recent figures out from the Labor Department show 239,000 people applied for new unemployment benefits last week. That is the most since January of 2022. Marking 10 straight weeks, the number has been above 200,000. Overall, about 1.8 million people in the United States are receiving unemployment aid, though on the rise, that is still historically low. Tax day is just days away, and for many people, the potential of being audited weighs heavy. A recent report shows that one group of Americans has a right to be concerned. The study finding that the IRS audits black taxpayers at significantly higher rates than others. Mel Galka digs into the numbers to try and find out why this is happening.
They have a real fear of the IRS. Sometimes they lose sleep. They're super stressed out.
And that's because April's filing deadline puts taxpayers' nerves on edge, some more than others. A recent Stanford University study points out black taxpayers might have more to stress out about. It found the IRS audits black taxpayers about 3 to 5 times more often than non-black taxpayers.
The highest audited districts or areas were all poor and black, 80 to 95% black populations, predominantly in the South. The least audited districts or areas were those mainly in the North, mainly white, mainly high income.
Financial advisor Kamari Ellis says part of the problem deals with tax refunds. The study found a big disparity with the Earned Income Tax Credit, a rule that typically helps low to moderate income families. Ellis believes some so-called tax preparers might be trying to take advantage by promising big returns.
You see a lot of these things happen with a lot of unregulated tax preparers. I mean, if you just look at some of the court records for tax fraud, and especially in some of these lower income areas, it's because they're doing fraudulent things as it relates to children and children deductions.
Senators grilled new IRS Commissioner Daniel Warfel about the apparent racial bias at the agency during his confirmation hearing in February. Government agencies typically use algorithms to drive decisions like audits. User experience researcher Kamea Jones says that even though data may be blind to race, the circumstances surrounding the numbers the IRS is using are not.
It's got roots. It's got lots of parts and pieces. And so if we actually believe, yeah, somebody from this particular zip code shouldn't be making that much money because that's not the kind of people who live in this zip code, then that is based on systemic racism, right? And how we've classified particular zip codes. But does that mean that that person was sitting there with that thought in mind? Not necessarily. They probably were looking at data, right? Unbiased data that tells them, okay, we should flag this zip code.
Following his confirmation last month, the new IRS commissioner pledged to senators that he'd get back to them in 60 days about the discrimination and how the IRS will correct it. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Major cities nationwide are struggling to bounce back post-COVID. Many people are still working from home, which means a less vibrant downtown and a lot of empty office space. In our nation's capital, only about half of the workers are actually back in the office. So developers are finding creative solutions. CBN's Jenna Browder reports now from Washington.
You could say Washington, D.C. is still in a pandemic funk. You can feel the emptiness downtown. And that's why there's a move to repurpose some of these old, unused office buildings.
We know that the daily ridership during a weekday was over 600,000. Now it's about 200,000.
Deputy Mayor John Falchicchio on the city's metro paints the picture. Downtown D.C. is struggling. Fewer people, a lot less energy, and 4 lease signs lining the sides of buildings. One solution to the desolation: converting these old office buildings into apartments.
Mayor Bowser just unveiled our DC comeback plan, which includes adding 15,000 residents to the 25,000 residents who already live in downtown as a way to make downtown more vibrant.
Folger Pratt is one company making that possible.
We have two projects in the works that are conversions. The first is 1425 New York Avenue, which is about a block from the White House, and that'll be about 275 units.
Managing Director Michael Abrams tells CBN News the other is in DuPont Circle and includes 180 units. As logical as it all sounds, though, turning an office floor plan into something that's livable comes with a lot of challenges, and finding the right candidates is tough.
For an office building to work as residential, you have to have certain depths for your units. You need to have you have to provide air and light into every unit.
Other developers are getting in on these conversions too. Nearly 4 million square feet of outdated office space in downtown D.C. is already being converted or under evaluation. For this, D.C. leads the way for all major U.S. cities. No one wants to see the nation's capital deteriorate to what it was in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot of hope these conversions might help and inject some of its old life. And the two Folger Pratt properties will take anywhere from 18 to 24 months to complete. Abrams says the 1425 New York Avenue project should start this spring. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Coming up, meet the rabbi that made a positive difference in his community when the war in Ukraine began. We've got that story for you. Stay with us. When Russia's war on Ukraine began, one rabbi acted quickly to help his community escape the country. Part of his plan included sending 300 orphans and others from Odessa to Germany. A year later, CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl met with the rabbi and his wife back where it all began.
Within days of the beginning of the war, Rabbi Avraham Wolf and his wife Chaya rented multiple hotel rooms in Berlin to get the orphans to safety.
We started a refugee camp in Berlin with all of our orphans. We took a hotel in the part of Berlin that used to be a camp of the communist secret police and where Putin played billiards. We rented from there 170 rooms in the hotel. We opened a preschool, school, and a university there.
Back in Odessa, the community now had an empty building with a bomb shelter.
We took out the beds, put in the desks and the chairs. During the war, everybody came here to study together because we have a bomb shelter that we renovated and heated. Now it's possible to stay here for many hours.
Children from the local Jewish community, as well as Jewish families who fled other cities, use the building for school and more.
We have 112 children who study every day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Whoever wants can leave at 4 p.m. Others can stay till 6 p.m. with group activities and homework and whatever the children need. The children get 4 meals a day here. They get free transportation. Everything is free. We receive everyone who wants to study at a Jewish school with great joy.
Nechama Vigler, who runs the school, took CBN News down to the bomb shelter.
There are days when we spend more time in the bomb shelter than in the classrooms upstairs. Unfortunately, during the last year, this is the main entertainment place of our children. Here we study, eat, play, and sometimes we stay here until the late hours of the night, until we're able to release the children to go home.
Vigler says that even though all the children have homes, many live without electricity or heat.
So the school today is more than the place to provide knowledge and to study. This is the place for children to live, to meet people. Here we have a generator, so we have electricity and heating and food, breakfast and lunch. And here the children get strength because most of them come from dark homes without electricity and return to dark homes, which is a shocking and difficult thing.
She says despite conditions, young children have a positive attitude.
The children are amazing people. I can come in the morning feeling down and I receive energy from the children. They always see the good side and always with a smile, especially the younger ones. For the older children, it's more complicated. Their feelings are difficult. Talking to them and hearing what's on their hearts, doubts, fear of the future is really not easy. It's complicated and difficult.
Vigler says the people of Odessa remain strong, even after suffering through a tough winter.
I feel the drop in energy, but the people, all of them, are confident in the victory, not willing to give up, and I feel they're united. This has united the nation in an amazing way.
She says no matter where people live, it's important to care about others.
I think that at the end of the day, each person, regardless of where you live, in the States or Israel, all of us are emissaries. Each one of us can be a light.
Wolf says it will take a miracle for the war to end soon.
Other than a miracle, it's impossible to explain it because the way it looks, it's going to be a long story. But we're believing people. We renovated the synagogue, renovated the orphanages to receive the children, other buildings. We're confident that everything will be well. God will protect us. There will be miracles.
And after a year in Berlin, 120 orphans returned home to Odessa to separate girls' and boys' homes. And the school is continuing. Shortly after their return, they celebrated one boy's birthday together with Purim, marking the Jews' deliverance from an evil plot to destroy them, as told in the book of Esther. And now they seem happy to be home. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Odessa, Ukraine.
And to see more from the Middle East team, you can watch Jerusalem Dateline. You can find it on the CBN News channel. It begins tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time. You can also find it on the CBN News app as well as YouTube. Still ahead, get a first look at an upcoming film about a guy devoting his life to rescuing children from global sex traffickers. We've got the story for you. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. A former U.S. government agent quits his job with one major motive, devoting his life to rescuing children from global sex traffickers. Here's a first look at the film based on the true story, Sound of Freedom. From what I've seen so far of this project, it seems extremely emotional and powerful. How did you come to it?
Well, I met Tim Ballard 8 years ago in Los Angeles, California. And I met him and his team, ex-Navy SEALs, ex-federal agents who travel around the world undercover, rescuing children that are kidnapped for sexual exploitation.
I don't think I can do this job, Tim. As soon as I lay down, all I see are those kids' faces.
And I remember, like, if it was yesterday when he told me, I know that it's very sad, Eduardo, what I'm telling you, what we are telling you, but it's more sad now that you know if you do nothing. I knew at the time that I had to stop everything that I was doing, and I knew that a new mission, a new vision, born right there.
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade.
I made a promise to God that I will dedicate my entire life to work really hard, along with Tim and everyone else that is working around the world to end child trafficking.
Señor Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? Quizá puedas ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana.
So I told Tim, you know, I want to do a lot of things. Of course, I want to work really hard with you. So why don't we make a movie about your life, and that movie can become a movement.
Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What will we do?
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. This is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
He said, I'm not the solution for this. I mean, I am the solution for one child. I mean, you save one child and you save the world.
We're talking about extracting an 11-year-old girl from an army of rebels.
Not just her. I'm talking about rescuing hundreds of kids.
We're talking about millions of children.
Yeah.
We need a movement. It's everyone coming together, but how can we start the movement? Well, I think the movie can be the beginning of that. What is so powerful about movie making is that you have this tool, powerful instrument to raise awareness, which is the first step. You need to see that there's a problem out there. So you see it, now it goes to your heart, then your feet moves.
Over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. If we do nothing, someday it's gonna reach the likes of you.
I pray that millions of people will see this movie and millions of people will walk out of the theaters, not only entertained, but I hope as a filmmaker they will leave full of hope that they can become the heroes that this world needs, so we can end child trafficking, so we can rescue the children, so we can free the children, so we can end this forever. I believe we can do this. I believe we can do this.
What if this was your daughter?
We had the opportunity to speak with Eduardo while we were visiting Angel Studios. Angel Studios is the producer and they're the distributors of The Sound of Freedom. It is coming to a theater near you a little bit later this year. We'll be sure to keep you posted on that release date. Coming up, Running with a Purpose. Find out why this man does it and what he thinks he'll actually be remembered most for. Plus, we've got your Friday Faithful. It's all coming up right here on CBN NewsWatch. Stay with us. We'll be right back. A story that I'm sure will put a smile on your face this Friday. Meet Lee Minor. It's been a great run for him as the 85-year-old Missouri man has completed 601 competitive races. He says running is his passion and he does it to stay healthy, see the world, and live life as long as he can. Although he jogs several times a week, Minor says his legacy will probably be how slow he is, saying it's hard to keep up with young whippersnappers. Indeed, I can imagine. Well, as you hear, it's time now for your Friday Faithful. I'm going to leave you with this thought as we wrap another week together. Your mistakes may frustrate you. They may even hurt others, but there is no mistake that keeps you from God's amazing grace. Repent, turn to Him. His arms are wide open, and He is waiting for you. With that word, I encourage you to make this a fabulous Friday and have yourself a wonderful weekend with purpose and on purpose. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel at any time, as well as online at cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Email us at that address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And, of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend. We'll see you back here Monday. Goodbye. God bless.